wonder who I'm picking to win the World Series this year. Welcome to the Dugout. I'm your host, Joseph Silva. And yes, we're a little late, but we're going to be just as bad in our predictions as we have our MLB playoff predictions here. The wild card series are going on right now. Cleveland lost behind an absolute gem from Tarek Skubal. Padres lost. You hate to see it. And the Yankees currently lead 1-0 here. But I'll give you the predictions for the rest of the wild card series. I'll tell you who's going to win in every other series. And more importantly, you guys can come back and laugh at me when I'm inevitably wrong. But before we get started, if you're enjoying the content, go ahead and leave a like. Subscribe to the Run the Play Network. Anthony's Thunder, NBA champions. Phil's Lakers got Luka Doncic. For the time being, my Dodgers are still defending World Series champions, as you can clearly see. Subscribing to the Run the Play Network brings so much success to all your teams. Or you can always not subscribe, but I'm not taking that chance. Now, let's talk about this Yankees-Red Sox series here first. It's currently 1-0. Crochet looks great. Just had one mistake. Max Fried looks even better. But yeah, I still think, regardless of what happens, I think Boston's going to come back to win this. Yes, I know Roman Anthony's out, but this lineup for Boston is so good. You know how good Bregman and Duran are, but really, Romy Gonzalez is going to feast off the lefty that the Yankees really do deploy a lot here. And there's just a deep lineup regardless. I think Boston can handle him. Yes, Brian Bale's a little sketchy as your Game 2 starter, and Connor Early is going to start Game 3 for you. So maybe not necessarily the most trustworthy rotation, but oh my god. Don't let the couple blown saves he had in August and September fool you. Aroldis Chapman is good. Again, it turns out when you aim your pitches, you can actually pitch very good. I don't know how it took him this long to realize that, but he's realized that, and he is locked in regardless. But, setting the way for Aroldis Chapman here, Garrett Whitlock, phenomenal setup man. Greg Weissert, a little bit underrated here. You don't hear him talked about as much when you talk about this Red Sox bullpen, but he is a dog. Those three are a great trio in the back of the bullpen. And really, I think that's what kind of gives the difference here in this series. I think the Red Sox take it, especially because if you look at the Yankees, yes, you know about playoff Aaron Judge and how bad he can be. But he is still in the midst of the greatest peak by a right-handed hitter ever, quite frankly. So yeah, he'll figure it out eventually. You know how good Cody Bellinger is. You know how good Trent Grisham is. Ben Rice has a 136 WRC plus while being one of the unluckiest hitters in baseball. Scary stuff here. The rotation, Rodon and Fried, fantastic pitchers. And then you're looking at maybe Cam Schlittler in Game 3, Luis Hill. Not necessarily, the most intimidating Game 3 starter. But again, they will be facing Connolly early. And yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a shit show. But why I do not have faith in this Yankees team is this bullpen is a travesty, quite frankly. Yes, David Bednar is phenomenal. Luke Weaver is not last year's Luke Weaver, but he's still pitching at a very high level regardless. Devin Williams, I don't know what's going on with him here. And it's not that Yankees fans, wearing the pinstripes. It's hard. Not everyone's built for it. I don't believe that a lot of the time, but oh my god. Dude, Devin Williams has an ERA close to 5 and a FIP of under 3. I don't know, man. I can't explain it. It's just weird. On top of that, too, Camilo Doval has not been great. Jake Bird, designated for assignment. They got a lot of arms, 2 of them work. So if it gets late and close, I don't think this bullpen can hold a lead, or I don't trust him to if you can't get the ball to Weaver and Bednar. So yeah, I think the Red Sox are going to take this in 3 in what is bound to be a not controversial, not contentious, totally even-keeled playing field here. We'll see about that. Now, we have the Tigers and Guardians. The Tigers lead this one 1-0 behind an absolute gem from Tarek Skubal. But the offense, they have their opportunities. They didn't necessarily look the best. I understand Gavin Williams is one of the hotter pitchers going into this series, but it's a little bit concerning here if I'm Detroit. Meanwhile, for Cleveland, yes, again, I know you were facing Tarek Skubal. I understand you're facing Will Vest, the best reliever in their bullpen. Arguably, I think Kyle Finnegan is a little bit better, but that's beside the point here. You had Jose Ramirez on third with nobody out. And I understand, you break home on contact no matter what. Jose Ramirez is a fast runner. But, yeah, that just took a weird chop. It was a good play by Vest to get the ball. But ultimately, you have to score in that scenario. And it does not inspire confidence in what is, quite frankly, an anemic lineup here for the Guardians. So if you're looking at game 2 here, Tanner Bybee goes up against Casey Mize. I think it's going to be Detroit very cleanly. A lot of these end up being sweeps here. Even if it doesn't. You have Jack Flaherty, who, don't get me wrong, Dodger legend, but can be a little bit inconsistent in the playoffs here, let's be honest. If they win game 2, they have a shot, but I just don't see it. You used Hunter Gaddis and Kate Smith. They may not be the freshest for games 2 and 3. It's just going to be a Detroit steamroll through and through. Tigers in 2. Now, for the Padres and Cubs, San Diego just could not touch the Chicago bullpen. And they couldn't really get to Matthew Boyd either, quite frankly, because it turns out you need to hit home runs in the postseason to be successful. And I kid, but this is where things are going to start getting a little bit interesting here. Both teams burn their aces, and now it gets into, now what can you do for me lately here? As it looks like it's going to be Shota Imanaga versus Dylan Cease in game 2, and Shota's been, first half of this season, Shota, when the Cubs were on fire, or rookie year Imanaga, no, he's been Mike Imanaga, because he's just not had it in the second half whatsoever. Dylan Cease, can be if you look at his expected ERA, and if you look at this, I don't care, okay? I understand he's striking out motherfuckers like crazy, but dude, you gotta get the results. The same thing, and I was talking about Devin Williams, is yes, I understand you are very good at what you do, but you have to get the results here. But I think it plays a little bit better when you have a strikeout rate, especially with, Pete Crow Armstrong struggling, Kyle Tucker struggling. A lot of these bats that were so hot for the Cubs struggling, it's going to be very difficult for them to touch Cease. So I think the Padres will take game 2, especially because, they didn't use Robert Suarez, who is most certainly coming out of the bullpen at some point here. Mason Miller only win an inning, Morejon win an inning. I think the Padres will be fine. And I hate to say it, but I think they're going to take game 3 too, because yes, I understand Yu Darvish is now 0-5 in postseason clinching games. Thank you for that one. But I just don't trust Colin Ray. This Cubs bullpen is going to be gassed. They were very heavily worked in this last game. I think Chicago just doesn't have it, especially with the fact that what I thought for the longest time was the best offense in baseball has been very bad. Will the real Pete Crow Armstrong please stand up here? Because, oh my God, dude, you were incredible, and then you were striking out like crazy. I think the real Pete Crow Armstrong is the one that's shown up in the second half, but we'll see. We'll see. I think the Padres are a little bit more of a complete team. I think they win in 3. And finally, the one series that has not kicked off yet, the Dodgers versus the Reds. Now, despite what everything in the frame may tell you, I will be objective here. And looking at it, Blake Snell versus Hunter Green, cinema. It's going to be a fantastic game 1. The problem is, in game 2, is you're not throwing Andrew Abbott here. Well, at least you're throwing Nick Lodolo, right? No, you're not throwing Nick Lodolo here. So, quite frankly, what are you even doing here? You have 3 pitchers that, again, don't match up perfectly with this Dodgers rotation. Who does? But Abbott and Lodolo match up very well against Yamamoto and Ohtani, and you're not necessarily doing that. Add on the fact that, Ellie De La Cruz, not necessarily been a good hitter in the second half here. And that's even more concerning because it's really him, TJ Friedl, and Vibes in this Reds lineup. So, yeah, a little bit concerning here. The Reds bullpen is good, not necessarily great. They do blow the occasional lead. But if we're talking about bullpens, we have to talk about the Dodgers bullpen here. Let's address the elephant in the room. I don't know who I trust in this bullpen. Yes, Roki Sasaki's looked good in his 3 relief appearances, if you include the one in Oklahoma City. But it's 3 relief appearances. I don't give a shit. Alex Vesia, is good, but he's blown it when he's been put in closer role or like elite high leverage situations. Tanner Scott, I swear to God, is like Lucy with the football, where it's like, oh, he's gotten 4 straight scoreless outings. We got it. And then you end up ass on the ground because they pulled the wall away last second here. Blake Trinan pitches better when a Democrat's in office, apparently, because he's too happy with the situation. It just does not make sense. I don't know who you trust, quite frankly, in this bullpen. We're going to figure it out together in this series, but needless to say, I'm a little concerned about this Dodgers bullpen. Offensively, you know about the big three. The big three has been phenomenal. Once Mookie Betts put on weight, all of a sudden, he can hit again. Shohei Ohtani is incredible. Freddie Freeman, responsible for the greatest moment of my life. Thank you so much here. But it's really going to come down to everyone behind him. Teoscar Hernandez, I swear to God, went like 3 months without walking. It was embarrassing. He needs to really be disciplined at the plate for the Dodgers to have a shot here. Same thing, too, with, Tommy Edman. Can he get it going a little bit here? And more importantly, I love the man. He's a legend in my mind. But Ben Rortvedt, you need to step up in a big, big way here if you're filling in for Will Smith. I think you have to. You have to do it here. So, yeah, I think the Dodgers are going to take this in 2 rather comfortably. But after that, we're going to see where this true team lies. And, more importantly, if you want to bet on any of the games here, be sure to use our sponsor, Boom Fantasy. Use code RTP for a risk-free bet up to $100. Please gamble responsibly. Now, we get into the division series here. And let's start in the American League. And more importantly, and what I'm referring to as the hate crime section of the bracket. And I do not say that lightly here, but we know the Red Sox and Yankees hate each other. And yeah, they have to go through Toronto. It is gonna be a war. And if you're looking at it, this Blue Jays team, I was not a believer in them, but credit where credit's due. They have the best record in the American League. They've won a very difficult to win division here, and that's really on the back of an incredible offense here. Who had George Springer playing like this? I certainly didn't, but he has what is arguably the best season of his career with the bat. He is resurging in the best possible way if you're a fan of his. I'm not, for obvious reasons, but regardless, he is a much-needed compliment to Vlad Guerrero at the top of that lineup. Bo Bichette, you really are going to feel his absence in this lineup, especially because, he was the 3rd best hitter on this team. But, don't discount hitters like Addison Barger and Dalton Varsho, who somehow has been incredible in the brief games he has played this year. I think Toronto really has an offense that can just play in October. The concern is the pitching staff, because it's Kevin Gausman and vibes. Gausman's not, been the peak Kevin Gausman, but he has still been a solid starter. Max Scherzer's pitching like hot ass, so we don't know what you're getting out of him. On top of that, too, you're looking at Trey Savage, who, don't get me wrong, is a very exciting pitcher. But where are you necessarily going to pitch him here? I have, as their playoff rotation, Kevin Gausman, Trey Savage, because I would rather have him at home in the very raucous Rogers Center than kind of pitch him on the road in what is going to be 2 very hostile environments here. Let's give the kid a little bit of a soft landing in high-pressure situations if you are going to throw him in this series, which you kind of have to. After that, Shane Bieber, Max Scherzer, or Chris Bassett for Game 4. Don't necessarily trust those 2, so it's going to be a little bit harder. In the bullpen, Jeff Hoffman has not been great, but Dodger killer Eric Lauer has been fantastic. Tommy Nace has been fantastic. Braden Fisher has been fantastic. Those 3 are the arms that are really going to have to carry it here for Toronto to have any shot of winning this series. And more importantly, they do not have to deal with a lot of the bigger pitchers for these teams. If it's the Yankees, you're looking at probably Luis Gil starting Game 1 here. If it's the Red Sox, you're looking at, who do I have here? Lucas Giolito, if he's healthy, Kyle Harrison. Not necessarily the most intimidating rotation to face here, especially with how Gausman's been pitching as of late. It is a very close series, don't get me wrong. But I think Toronto gets it done. It is just so... They're not a complete team, but that offense is borderline perfect. The rotation is not necessarily there. Your closer is not necessarily the best, but you have 3 arms that complement him well. I think the Blue Jays take this in a very hard-fought 5-game series. Now we get to the division series number 2, which is calm, tranquility. No, I'm just kidding. It's in Seattle. And if you go back and watch Game 3 of the 2022 division series, you can see how overmatched Houston looked in that playoff environment. Seattle is going to be raucous, and that home field advantage is going to play in a big, big way here. Especially because I have been beating the drum on this for a long, long time. The Mariners' rotation, yes, they have all the talent in the world. They're not pitching like it, though. Brian Wu is going to finish top 5 in Cy Young voting. He is fantastic. Logan Gilbert, since coming back from the injury, has been solid as well. The problem is, Luis Castillo and George Kirby do not have it the way we thought they would. And yes, they are going to be good 3-4 starters, but let's not act like this rotation is the second coming of Jesus Christ themselves, like they're going to fix all your problems. No, you have 2 good starters and 2 inconsistent starters here, and that's a little bit of a problem. Unfortunately, for the Tigers, they have a 1 good starter and 3 question marks. So yeah, the rotation, I absolutely give the edge to the Mariners here. Even if Game 2, oh man, Logan Gilbert versus Tarek Skubal will be cinema. Offensively, the Tigers have fallen off a cliff in the worst possible ways here, whereas the Mariners are an incredible playoff offense. You have the big dumper, who may or may not be AL MVP. I'm not touching this debate yet. I'll get there eventually. You have Julio Rodriguez, who continues to make me look wrong and stupid. He has had an incredible second half. Weirdest player in the league, but a superstar nonetheless. Jorge Polanco has been good. Eugenio Suarez is a playoff masher. Josh Naylor is great. And if I look at my notes here, apparently they have some MF named Randy who is very good in the playoffs too. Yeah, this lineup has been great for all the year. And yeah, J.P. Crawford's also here. I think they're going to be fine offensively. Bullpen-wise, you saw the Tigers' bullpen. It's good, not necessarily the pitching chaos. Great that it was last year, but I still trust that unit. Unfortunately, you have to face a 3-headed dragon in the back of this Mariners bullpen with Andres Munoz, who will probably finish second to Chapman in AL reliever of the year. You have Gabe Spire, who's been incredible, and you have Matt Brash, who if you need a strikeout, go to Matt Brash. I love Matt Brash so much. Those 3 will carry the Mariners, and quite frankly, is going to be an easy series for them to win. I think it is a Mariners sweep. Now, if we go to the National League, it's weird. This is the I don't know what's going on here series between the Padres and the Brewers. The Brewers, it is so weird, man. I don't know what to make of this team. Yes, they are very good. They play small ball. They play anti-analytics baseball. Go look up what analytics are. Go watch Moneyball. They found undervalued players in today's game. They're pitching. They're doing it very well. The problem with the Brewers is they don't hit a lot of home runs. You're really relying on Andrew Vaughn, William Contreras, Yelich, and Jackson Chourio as your power hitters. Bryce Terang, Isaac Collins, don't get me wrong, are very good hitters, but they are not going to hit the ball out of the ballpark. So you're really relying on those 4 to supply the power, and neither of them I would call a prodigious power hitter by any means. The rotation looks fantastic for Milwaukee, don't get me wrong here. Freddie Peralta is a dog. He will finish top 5 in NL Cy Young voting. If Brandon Woodruff is healthy, he's going to be a very good Game 2 starter. If he's not, I think you can fill in just fine because Quinn Priester has been a revelation since coming to Milwaukee. Chad Patrick has been somehow even better. And Jacob Mizorowski, yes, most undeserving all-star of all time. His stuff is electric. Yes, I understand he has a 4.71 ERA, but I think he can get it together in the playoffs. He'd make a great 4 starter. If not, he is going to be a weapon out of that bullpen. Oh, by the way, that bullpen is incredible, phenomenal, whatever you want to say about them. Abner Uribe, everybody who knows about him sings his praises. He is one of the best relievers in the game. Trevor McGill is back from injury, and he is pitching very, very well. And then I talk about Aaron Ashby as being another one of this, what I call the triumvirate in the back of this bullpen. But really, just pick a name out of the hat. Anyone that comes out of that bullpen is going to be very, very good. Of course, the Padres have their own triumvirate with Miller, Suarez, and Motorhome. So you're kind of bullpens are a push. Rotation is very clearly Milwaukee's, especially with the fact that do I have starting game one? Michael King, yes, he's a playoff warrior in his few playoff games. He has not looked the best this year, so I don't know what you're getting out of him. And then 2, Pivetta was strong for the most part, gave up 2 home runs because, he likes to pitch up in the zone. A little bit of a problem. And on top of that, Cease King. We've talked about how I feel about this Padres rotation. Offensively, the Padres are a very good offense. Ramon Laureano does hurt them a lot here. But for me, what this series is coming down to is infield defense. The Crone zone is very small. Is a lot of these ground balls that the Brewers love to hit is going to get past Cronenworth. Xander Bogaerts, he looks healed from the foot injury for the most part. We're going to see how it affects his range at short. But he has been a very good defender at shortstop this year. And Manny Machado. Oh, how I long to talk about Manny Machado. His defense is not that good anymore. He is a -8 outs above average in terms of his range. He is not as rangy as he used to be, which is a little bit of a problem at the hot corner here. But the good news for him is with a lot of these quicker players on Milwaukee is if he can get to the ball, he can throw them out for the most part. The arm is still elite. He just doesn't have the range anymore. So really, does the Padres infield defense hold up? That's the key to this series. And I think it does. It pains me to say it, but I really think it does. Is if Yelich or Contreras had a little bit more power, if Jackson Chourio had a little bit more power, I really think Milwaukee is the team to beat. I just do not see them winning with this ground ball, small ball, eccentric approach. And I know the Padres do not have a lot of power in that lineup either. But I do trust, O'Hearn, Tatis, and Machado to make a lot more contact, a lot more loud contact than the hitters in the Brewers lineup. I'll take the Padres in 4. I wonder who he's going to pick in this series. Dodgers and Phillies. This is going to be the best series of the playoffs, quite frankly. These are 2 very evenly matched teams. If you watched their series in September, you knew immediately that these teams are going after each other. So, as stereotypical as it to say, the Dodgers have to win one in Citizens Bank Park, and we will get there in a second and what that means for them. But if you look at this Phillies team, no Zach Wheeler hurts, but oh man, this rotation is so good. Christopher Sanchez and Ranger Suarez are a great 1-2 to throw out there. And then, you have Jesus Luzardo, phenomenal pitcher, and Aaron Nola. He was good 3 years ago. He could be good again, right? Right? We'll see. Offensively, with the addition of Harrison Bader, oh my God, this team platoons so well. Brandon Marsh is an above average hitter now. Stott is good. Bohm is good. You know how good Harper and Schwarber is. Castellanos is starting to find his groove again. This is a fantastic offense with very few weak spots. Oh yeah, and by the way, they also have the NL batting champ here. This is an offense that can go to blow with Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Pages, everybody in the Dodgers lineup. Even if Will Smith does come back, which I do not expect him to, just look out. There's going to be fireworks here. Which brings us to the bullpens. If you watch the Dodgers-Phillies series, the Dodgers bull had a lead in all the games. The bullpen blew 2 of them. So do I necessarily trust this bullpen? No, I do not. And yes, I know Sheehan could be a weapon a la Ben Kasparius last year. What can Clayton Kershaw give you out of the bullpen? No comment. Really, I have to harp on this point. I do not trust this bullpen whatsoever. Quite frankly, I don't trust them to watch paint dry for 10 minutes. That's how little faith I have in this Dodgers bullpen. But the rotation is going to be so good. With, Christopher Sanchez, who is going to finish 2nd or 3rd in NL Cy Young voting, take your pick. He's been that good this year. Surely, you burn 2 of your best pitchers in the wild card series. You don't have anyone you have Shohei Ohtani or Tyler Glasnow going to game 1? Yeah, I think you'll be fine. And then especially because Snell, Yamamoto, and then whoever's pitching game 4 for us, it's just going to be a gauntlet of starting pitching for Philadelphia to get through. They did not look good against any of our starters in the series, so it's going to be a war. So, which brings us to the little thing we put in a pin in earlier. Citizens Bank Park is, yes, we all know the Phillies are electric at Citizens Bank Park. That crowd is incredible. They have a 700 winning percentage in that ballpark in the playoffs, which means the Dodgers need to win one there. And I don't want to assign so much importance to a game early in the series, especially because I said last year, the Dodgers cannot go to Petco Park with the series tied or heaven forbid down, because that series is not coming back to Los Angeles. And lo and behold, the series came back to Los Angeles and they won. With that being said, I think the game that decides this series is going to be Game 2. That is the most winnable game they will be playing at the bank, because Christopher Sanchez will be pitching Game 1 and he will be pitching Game 5. And yes, the last two winner-take-all games they played at the bank, they lost. However, he is such a good pitcher, and this crowd will be so behind them, especially when Johan Duran inevitably enters this game. The Dodgers will not deal with the adversity that well. So, the game they have to win in Philadelphia is Game 2. With Ranger Suarez on the mound and I don't want to say your ace, but one of your aces, Blake Snell, that is the must win. And I think if the Dodgers win Game 2 and send this series back to LA, tied 1-1, or by some divine miracle, they're up 2-0, the Dodgers will win. If the series goes back to Philadelphia for Game 5, the Dodgers have no shot of winning. I'm going to be fully honest here. And yes, would a Blake Snell, Christopher Sanchez game be absolute cinema in Game 5? Yes. I just don't see how they win any games in Philadelphia, which is why I have the Phillies winning in 5. It's really, I cannot emphasize enough how much I hate our bullpen. And if someone, we'll see in the wildcard series who Roberts trusts in high leverage situations. It better not be Tanner Scott and Blake Trinan, I tell you that much. But I do not trust any of them, and we will see. Which brings us to the ALCS of the Mariners and the Blue Jays. Two teams as far away from each other as humanly possible. That travel schedule is going to be brutal. But, both teams have fantastic offenses. Both teams have solid bullpens. It's really about which rotation do I trust more here. And really, the Mariners just have the better rotation. I think they can handle a lot of these bats that Toronto's going to throw at them. Brian Wu is a guaranteed quality at start at this point. The Blue Jays love working deep counts and working the at-bat. Unfortunately, Brian Wu likes to attack people. George Kirby is a control freak, even if he hasn't been, as precise as he was before. He's not surgical anymore, but he's still very good. I think they just come after the Toronto bats and really dominate them. And yeah, I think Trey Savage and a couple of these guys might get a game or two off Seattle, but Seattle looks so damn good. And I think they take this in 6. And I got to make a prediction for ALCS MVP. I think it's going to be Brian Wu. I think he's going to shut down this lineup in 2 great starts. I think he'll be MVP for sure. And the NLCS, we have a rematch of the 2022 one, and I have it going the same way. I have Phillies in 5. Is the Padres. They're a good team, don't get me wrong here, but they have the worst offense than Philadelphia. They have the worst rotation than Philadelphia. Yes, they have a better bullpen, but that doesn't necessarily matter if you can't build a lead. And really, it's the test of I don't want to call it the Dodger team building philosophy, but does their formula that they used in 2024 to work? I still don't believe so. I think you still need starters that can give you 6 quality innings. And really, Pivetta can. King maybe can. Cease maybe can. Yu Darvish sure as hell can't. And I don't think the Super bullpen can really hold this Phillies lineup at bay, especially with how well they platoon. So that's effectively going to neutralize Motorhone. It's going to neutralize, I don't want to say Mason Miller because he's been unhittable since he came to San Diego, but it's going to really make their lives hell. So yeah, Philly's going to take this in a very clean 5, setting up what is going to be one of the most fun World Series to watch. I'm not talking in terms of the product on the field. I'm talking about how crazy both crowds are going to be. Oh, the atmospheres are going to be incredible. But let's talk about this. Oh, I forgot to name NLCS MVP. Let me do that real fast. Kyle Schwarber. Now, let's talk about this World Series. On paper, I think these teams match up about as well as they can on both sides. They have fantastic stars who hit home runs and are left-handed. Schwarber and Raleigh. They have incredible pitching all throughout. So really, how am I going to decide this? I think for me, what it's going to come down to is what lineup is deeper. And I think the Mariners have that little bit more depth in the lineup. Is JT Realmuto is fine. Same thing with Alec Boehm. He's fine. Castellanos is fine. They have a lot more bats that are, I say, fine too, as opposed to Seattle, who has just mashers up and down that lineup. Who thought about that at the start of the year? Not me. On top of that too is, yes, I understand Orion Kirkring is faring a lot better in his current role. Same thing with Matt Strahm, bridging the gap to Johan Duran, but I still don't necessarily fully trust this Phillies bullpen. Whereas again, I trust Spire, Brash, and Munoz. I think they are a dragon with 3 hens that needs to be slain. I think the rotation for Seattle has a lot higher of a ceiling than that of Philadelphia. This is really where you're going to feel Zach Wheeler's absence. So I think I have the Mariners winning this in 6, winning their first World Series in franchise history. And for World Series MVP, oh God, I messed up on the notes. I have some MF named Randy winning World Series MVP. I don't know who he is, but he's that good in the postseason. But more importantly, let me know in the comments down below. Do you trust this Dodgers bullpen? How wrong am I about our 1 seeds? And more importantly, who is your World Series champion? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you enjoyed the content, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the Run the Play Network, and don't forget on the way out, play ball.